welcome back to the Who Are You to Lead Anyway podcast, where we master the skills needed to navigate leadership and life. I am Cynthia Jamieson, your leadership, life, and career growth coach, and this is episode 105. Today's episode is inspired by a card that I pulled from Rumi's Gift Oracle deck, which I recently purchased in Montreal. I often use these types of card decks for inspiration. So that's what I did. And the card that I pulled was called Perspective. Now, understanding the power of perspective is crucial for effective leadership. So today, I want to explore how to shift our viewpoints and why it matters. But before diving in, it's important, I think, to clarify the difference between perception and perspective. So, perception is our immediate interpretation based on our senses and our experiences. It's often the automatic thing that happens and it's subjective, versus perspective, which is a broader, more deliberate viewpoint. Perspective involves consciously choosing to see things from different angles, moving beyond initial reactions that we have to be able to understand the deeper truth. Now, this card of perspective reminded me of the profound impact that shifting our perspective can have. It is a skill we either possess or need to develop. But with awareness and choice, and with the help of a neutral third party, yours truly, we can always gain a new viewpoint or any other. I mean, a little bit of a joke there, but a neutral third party, you can always gain a new viewpoint. When we see things differently, of course, we can make more informed and more conscious decisions. So let me share a couple of examples. I mean, I have hundreds because this is the work of coaching is to help someone else come to a new perspective. However, I picked out a couple that I think would be relevant for you. So have you ever found yourself navigating team dynamics? Now, one of my clients, an operator, faced challenges after shifting from night to day shift. They found themselves dealing with team performance issues. Now, initially, he felt overwhelmed and frustrated, reacting to his immediate perceptions of team behavior. So I asked him why he felt that way and what assumptions he was making. So he said that he was frustrated by the varied work ethics within the team, dealing with a mix of high and low performers. And he believed that they should be further along, that they should be taking more initiative. And even though they were new and had faced and problem solved many of the things that created downtime, he had expectations of them. So, as you can imagine, all of these thoughts, feelings, and judgments led to discouragement and impatience on my client's behalf. So, once we get underneath the surface, the transformation that my client experienced was in recognizing that his high standards for himself translated into the high expectations for others. This created the tension, the dissatisfaction, and the frustration within inside of him. Now, because he was so open and so willing to take radical ownership and examine his own thoughts, belief patterns, habits, and behaviors, he saw how he was not only contributing to the situation, but creating the results that he was experiencing for himself. So, by taking perspective, he empathized with his own situation as the leader, and by stepping into his team members' shoes individually, like he empathized with the various members of the team before deciding what to do. Now, with curiosity, we explored all of the factors contributing to this situation. So we talked about like attitude, behavior, commitment, culture, background, experience, knowledge, skills, tenure, etc. Like there's so many factors, right? But it's really important to explore all of those before deciding what to do. And by doing so, my client better understood the diversity in work ethics, and from that place created a strategy to foster a strong, consistent work ethic throughout the team. Now, I will say this more empathetic approach And understanding that he gained generated curiosity within him instead of frustration. And by the end of the call, my client was so eager to go and build a more cohesive, productive, and motivated workforce where everyone wins. At the end of the call, he was so grateful for he refers to it as his like metaphorical pair of glasses that he received, which was his desire at the beginning of the call. So that's one example. Now let's talk for a moment about recognizing the power of choice. So another one of my clients, a VP, felt trapped in their role and believed that their actions were dictated by the external pressures. Now, I remember our very first call where they expressed to me their feeling of powerlessness. Now, over several weeks of working together, they've recognized through self reflection and coaching that they were reacting to their circumstances. And by exploring different perceptions and perspectives, my client discovered that their actions were a result of their unconscious choices. Now, this realization empowered them to take control of the responses within them and make proactive and conscious decisions. Now, while I don't normally share the roles my clients have, I think it's important for you to know that it truly doesn't matter what your title is, what your role is. If you are a human being and if you have a human brain, and chances are you do if you're listening to this podcast, and you aren't aware of how you are a conscious creator, life can totally feel like it's happening to you versus for you. Now, I've said this on the podcast before, but I used to live and lead my life this way as a unaware, unawakened being. And it's not a problem, right? Everyone is on their own unique journey. We are all works in progress. However, this is the power of working with a coach because you may not see the patterns that you have or know how to interrupt them. But this is something that I can definitely help you with. Sometimes I think about like what my life would be like if I would have worked with a coach earlier on in my career. And then I realize nothing has gone wrong. I'm right on time. And my gift is in supporting you in your growth and your transformation journey. So, to that end, let's talk about some practical steps for perspective shifts. The first is to adopt new glasses. Actively and consciously choose to view situations from different angles. This involves slowing down and stepping out of your immediate reactions and deliberately considering another perspective. The second thing to do is to contextualize your challenge. So frame your challenge within a broader context. Instead of personalizing issues, view them objectively to understand the underlying factors and motivations, just like I did with my client. So many client transformations have happened in my coaching sessions just with my invitation to my client to think about like, what if this isn't about you at all? It's like mind blowing to just kind of take yourself out of the situation. This brings me to the third step: practice empathy. Engage in empathetic listening and understanding, really, truly wanting to understand, because by appreciating others' viewpoints, you can address issues more effectively and build stronger relationships, which is so important as a leader, right? The fourth step and last one is to manage your own self criticism. Balance high standards with self compassion. Recognize that being overcritical of yourself or others can and will hinder growth. So instead, provide constructive feedback as required and practice patience. So now I want to invite you to reflect on a recent leadership challenge. How might shifting your perspective change the way you approach this situation? Here are some questions to consider. What am I assuming about this situation? And how might those assumptions be limiting my understanding? Now, this question can help you identify and challenge any biases or preconceived notions that might be influencing your perspective. By recognizing and questioning your assumptions, you open yourself up to so many new possibilities and interpretations of what could be happening. Another question is, how would I view this situation if I were in someone else's shoes? Putting yourself in someone else's position can help you develop empathy and see the situation from a different angle. Consider the motivations, the challenges, and the feelings of others involved to gain a broader understanding for yourself. Another question is like, what's the larger context or bigger picture here that I might be missing? Sometimes focusing too narrowly on a specific details can prevent you from seeing the overall context. So asking this question encourage you to step back and consider the broader environment, the trends, and the long-term implications of what's happening. You also could ask, like, how might I think about this differently if I were to look at it from a future perspective with or from a long-term view? So, imagining how you might view this situation in the future can give you a sense of detachment and clarity because it hasn't happened yet, right? This question helps you consider the long term impact and significance of your current thoughts and actions, which will encourage a more strategic and less reactive perspective. And the last piece that I want to offer is like to think about like in what ways might I be creating or contributing to this situation that I'm experiencing. Now, this question, if you're going to ask one of them out of all of them, I would invite you to ask this one because this question encourages self-awareness and responsibility. Reflect on your actions, your attitudes, and your behaviors that might be influencing the situation. Consider how changes in your approach could positively impact the outcome. Be the change you want to see in the world. So, to further enhance your perspective shifting skills, I would invite you to consider exploring Edward de Bono's 6 thinking hats technique. I will link it up in the show notes for you. This method encourages you to view problems from multiple angles by adopting a different hats, quote, like in quotes, hats or modes of thinking, and each hat represents a different perspective. There's a factual hat, an emotional hat, a creative hat, and there's more hats. But all of them will help you analyze situations comprehensively and make a more balanced decision. So, as we wrap up today, grasping the difference between perspective and perception is key to transforming leadership challenges into opportunities. Perspective allows us to see beyond the immediate perceptions, enabling better decision making and growth. So, my invitation to you this week is to embrace the power of perspective. Practice empathy and balance those high standards with self compassion. And I want to say thank you so much for joining me today. If you have found this episode helpful, please share it with others who might benefit. And as always, I would love to hear how you apply these insights in your leadership journey. And I'll see you back here at the same time, at the same place next week. So have a great one. Goodbye. Hey, leader. Thanks for tuning in to the Who Are You to Lead Anyway podcast. I hope today's episode inspired you to embrace your authentic leadership journey. I want to invite you to join my mailing list at www.cynthiajamiesoncoach.ca and claim your copy of Your Inner Compass, a guide to charting your course to authenticity. This guide will help you understand what truly matters most to you. My vision is to empower individuals to live and lead lives in harmony with their core values, become catalysts for positive change, and navigate transitions, all while fostering connection and belonging in the world. Lastly, your feedback shapes this show, so I would be honored if you would subscribe, rate, and review. Thank you so much for being a part of this community dedicated to authentic leadership. Together, let's make a meaningful difference in this world.